like a circle in a spiral, like a wheel within a wheel, never ending or beginning, like the circles that you find in the windmills of your mind.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Stogie Geek Show. This segment's brought to you by Debonair Cigars. We're going to do our Debonair Ideal segment and talk about how not to ash on your microphone. Oh, wait. Do you see that? I don't know if you can see that on camera, but there's ash on the microphone portion
on
of
that.
the...
I ashed on my
Speaking of-
microphone.
You did. It's all right.
Is that a Stogie
Just
Geek?
blow on it. It'll be fine. There you go.
That's a Stogie Geeks first.
We're going to talk about properly...
I'm sorry, Phil. It wasn't
Awesome.
Debonair.
properly humidifying your cigars and being very debonair about it. And I think what really, are you all right over there?
Jack. Long
It
day.
can't be the first time I've ashed on one of these things. Maybe it is. I don't know. We'll swap out your pop filter in the next break.
Yep.
I'm building a humidor here in the studio.
Right.
And I haven't really done much with humidors because I have two gigantic cabinets at home, which I strongly recommend that you switch to the cabinet things. Well, I know you said you got a lot of desktop humidors.
Yeah, no, in fact, that is my wife knows.
When you reach a certain level, you have to get away from the desktop humidors because you end up just spending too much time maintaining the desktop humidors. However, being very debonair about it means properly maintaining your humidors, whether it's a travel humidor, whether it's a desktop humidor, whether it's a cabinet, or whether even it's that really ugly, not so debonair cooler that I have here for the studio, but it's functional. Having your cigars at the proper humidity when you smoke them, I think is very debonair. And what sparked this when Will and I was talking about it was, we know people who will light up a cigar in a social setting even and kind of complain that, oh, well, it's burning too hot or it doesn't taste right, or, oh, I can't keep this thing lit. And it's because, they've kept the cigar in their car in a non-humidified device in their car for weeks in the middle of winter and then wonder why, the wrapper's cracking on them and it's falling apart when they smoke it. And then, on the flip side of it, you take something with a very dark wrapper and they've got their humidor at home and they're using the green sponge method of humidification, which is just like billowing out humidity in the middle of the summer, and their humidor at home is 80 or 90% humidity, and they come to the lounge and they take one of the cigars and try and smoke it, and they're like, well, I can't keep it lit. And it's like, no wonder. It's like you've dunked your cigar in water and tried to smoke it. And I'm not trying to by any means put anyone down on this, but give some extreme examples of how you need to educate yourself if you're going to store cigars at home. And if you go back in our archives, we've done plenty of segments on humidification. I would say my number one rule of thumb in this day and age, and this even when we started 3 years ago, this was still an emerging kind of trend, believe it or not. In the past 3 years, I can fast forward to today and say that my Debonair Ideal recommendation for everyone on humidity and keeping your humidity correct in your humidor is to use a two-way system.
Absolutely.
Use your beads, use Bavita packs, use a two-way system that is both absorbing and emitting humidity when it needs to. I order my beads from Heartfelt. It is pretty much where everyone tells me to order the beads from. You can find Bavita packs in just about any cigar shop now. So your whether it's a travel humidor or whether it's a gigantic cabinet or whether it's a cooler door, whatever the case may be, you want a two-way humidification system. That's going to make sure that your cigar, although these cigars are a little dry because I'm still working on, my beads are shipping, and we kind of just threw cigar. We did a very non-debonair thing.
We apologize to Juan, but lucky the cigar is smoking really good.
The cigar is smoking good, yeah.
But in fairness to Juan, we really should have had it perfect. I mean, we should have. But
yeah, we didn't. But we're working on it. And beads are the way that I'm solving that problem in that humidor now. So
right.
Highly, highly recommend.
Right. Yeah. And you know, if
kitty litter. Some people use kitty litter. You know what? I'm just a fan of spend the money on beads.
I haven't never used that.
There is a certain
I've heard
kinds of kitty litter that you can that act the same way as beads.
But the beads,
buy the beads.
The two-way is just, it's really the closest thing to set it and forget it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and you want this. Look, you spend the money on your cigars. There's a point where you don't want it to be into a full-time job either. You want them to always be at peak condition.
And I like the Perdomo makes those travel cases too that have the bead system in the travel cases.
Yep.
Those are the only ones that I use now, for sure. So cool. Will, what do you got for Stogies of the week while I relight my cigar here?
I'm going to go right into because there's been a few, and I'm going to have to do this over a 2-week period. But I'll go through some of the cigars because actually we didn't get the Stogies of the week last week.
No.
We were so full with the 3rd anniversary show. But since we are coming right out of the Debonair Ideal, I obviously coming up to Rhode Island. I was over at Mr. J's, and they're the home of Debonair cigars in Rhode Island. So I do have some Debonairs that are sent to me from time to time, but they're not as maybe accessible as I'd like in North Carolina yet, although he's in North Carolina.
He's working on that.
Yep, he's working on that, which is good. So I went over to Mr. J's, and I wanted to smoke a Debonair Maduro. So I lit up a Toro. It's that Connecticut broadleaf 6x54, Dominican binder, and Dominican and Nicaraguan filler. I'll tell you what, with some age under the belt with these cigars, this is probably becoming one of the 2 best Maduros I've had this year. I'll talk about the other Maduro, which is probably not on a lot of people's radar. What I'll just say about this cigar, we've talked a lot about it. I think it combines 2 different things. It combines that sweet Maduro quality, and Phil Zengi talked about it. As that wrapper sits, the sweetness just kind of emulsifies out of that wrapper. And then you get some of those signature Debonair meaty notes with that. And I think with those 2 things, it's why I really, enjoy this Maduro. And I encourage folks, if you haven't tried the Maduro, to give it a try here. It's look, I know they're a sponsor of ours, but I'm going to say it. It's a battle for Chuck Norris here. It's a fabulous, fabulous Maduro.
So, interestingly enough, the cigar I smoked earlier today, Will, was the Debonair Toro in the natural.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my band, on the inside of the band, had August 2012 on the band.
So that's part of that.
It's got some, and I tell you what, it was very good. I found, and we've talked about Debonair cigars and how awesome the flavors are. It's a very good cigar, obviously. I found that it smoked very slow. It forced me to kind of smoke slow. It didn't burn too quickly. It didn't burn hot.
With the Habano. I could see it with the Habano.
The Habano smokes very slow. Have you noticed that?
Now you're saying it. It does, yeah.
It's a very slow smoking cigar and forces you to kind of slow down and relax, which is one of the characteristics I really like in that Debonair line. Yeah,
the Debonair line, look, this is not a cigar that you're going to go puff. If you're going to puff this cigar, I'll say it's about any cigar, but especially the Debonair, you're not going to puff a Toro down in 40 minutes. And you're not going to get,
No.
You're not going to get that. I mean, Phil does have offerings like the First Degree if you want a short smoke.
Yes, and that one does smoke more quickly.
Yeah. And
it's a looser draw.
It's a looser draw. Yeah. It's that Salomon there. But yeah, that Toro, it is meant to be slow. It is meant to be smoked slow. Both of them, the Maduro as well.
It's a sharp contrast to the Padron 1926 number 9 in the natural wrapper that I smoked this week. I don't know. Stogie Sand is a huge fan of the number 9 Maduro. When I first started going in the shop, he was like, "You got to try the number 9 Maduro." He was huge in the number 9 Maduro. He would smoke boxes of those things. And one of the characteristics in that size cigar, the number 9, is that it has a very loose draw. I mean, I don't want to say it's too loose, but it's almost like borderline. That draw is loose. It never burns hot, which is amazing. I don't know how Padron does that. But it's a kind of a bigger ring gauge cigar. Interesting size, very unique. The natural wrapper I thought was very, very good. I would smoke. I wish that Padron would make the boxes of natural and Maduro kind of mixed together.
Like a sampler.
Like a sampler, like 10 and 10. You know, like put 10 cigars on top, and put a piece of cedar between them so they don't touch together, and put 10 naturals on the bottom. Because I would buy those boxes all day long because I can never decide between like which one I want more. Like 26 natural, I like to smoke that during the day. 26 Maduro, I like to reserve that for kind of at night kind of thing.
Right.
And this 26 number 9 is a fantastic size, and it's probably one of the ones that I enjoy the most in both the natural or Maduro wrapper.
I'm in total
really
agreement
love the natural.
I'm in total agreement with those. Yeah.
Good cigar.
Yeah.
Now what's the torpedo in the 26 size? That I like better than the natural.
Yeah.
Than the Maduro.
I'm drawing a blank which number it is right now.
So it's not all sizes, but the number 9.
Yeah, the 9 is mine to go to.
Try a 9 natural.
Yep. I like both. I like them both.
Yeah. Yeah, I think everything in the 26 series you got to try in the natural and Maduro. How can you go wrong with it? Really, any Padron.
No, I mean,
pretty tough to go wrong.
even if they just had a 2-cigar sampler, maybe in a coffin box, would be really cool to have that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Back to you, Will.
So, the other Maduro I was talking about, I happen to smoke as well. And this is one that's probably on no one's radar, except Catfish from What Embargo, because he's the one who told me about this cigar. And it's not a Cuban. It's a cigar by Regis Cigars called the Damaris, which actually we've talked about when we had the Regis folks on the show. This started out, this is a San Andreas Maduro. With Nicaraguan binder and filler. Comes in one size, a 6.5 by 56. If you go back to episode 99 of Stogie Geeks, we had a Keel from Regis Cigars and a guy by the name of Jim Thomas who owns a cigar store called That Cigar Place. This was kind of a collaborative effort that they did to try a Maduro. They wanted to do it in Jim's shop, and they're going to start taking it slowly on a larger distribution. I'm going to just go out and say this. This is the best San Andreas cigar I ever had.
Really?
This is
which one is this again?
It is the Regis Damaris, which it's a Maduro, which I don't think I've sent to you because I only had a couple of them. This is the best San Andreas Maduro cigar I've ever smoked. It is that good. It is a flavor bomb. It's got a lot of chocolate notes. I heard Catfish mention almost like a brownie, and he's right. I kind of called it chocolate cake with some tobacco in it, because it does smoke like a cigar. It's a medium strength, medium bodied cigar. It maybe goes to medium to full. It's not going to be a cigar that's going to undergo a lot of transitions, though. But there's no harshness to this Mexican wrapper whatsoever. It's not overly spicy either, which I was real surprised. I mean, if you would have told me this was a Mexican wrapper, I would never guess it's a Mexican wrapper. It's home run. It's a potential Oasis candidate in my book. But right now I have it as a fight Chuck Norris. Like I said, this is the best San Andreas cigar I've ever smoked. So I have to get more of these from Jim's store.
Cool.
Yep. I think you'd like it.
Did you smoke your EP Carrillo New Wave Reserva Connecticut? Can we talk about those on the show?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
I smoked the cabinet, but I didn't smoke the Connecticut one yet.
You haven't smoked the Connecticut one yet?
No, I haven't smoked the Connecticut one
It's
yet.
very good. It's definitely in the category of a little more amped up Connecticut. I find it to be a little spicier and a little more bold than some of the other regular New Wave offerings, or even the, wow, that's an interesting camera angle. Or,
I kind of like
yeah, that's the talking head.
multi-camera power.
That's right. So the even some of his New Wave short runs.
Short run.
Yeah, these are a little more amped up than that, and I really like it. I smoked 2 of them in the morning with coffee. Really, really enjoyed them. I think that this is a Connecticut, one of the few Connecticut's where you can get and probably age. You can probably age this for a year, and it's not going to age out. It's got enough body and enough strength, but when you smoke it first thing in the morning, it's extremely enjoyable. Unlike some of the other Connecticut's that I've had.
Right.
Where it's just so hard to smoke them in the morning because they're so bold and in your face. This one, I think, has hit a sweet spot in the Connecticut market in that it's got more flavor and more body than a lot of the Connecticut's on the market. And then as they amp up in strength, it's not as bold and spicy as some of the ones in there, and it's hit that sweet spot. So much so that I smoked 2 of them, and those were the only 2 that I had, and I can't wait to get more, because this may be one. And you know what is very similar, actually, is the first one for Federal Cigar.
That's, when I asked.
Very similar in flavor, in profile, now that I think of it,
Okay.
because that cigar fell in the same category for me, because it was exactly that sweet spot.
Okay,
And
so
this cigar does that.
So Derek Sells, who's the
Northeast
Northeast
sales manager.
Northeast sales manager.
Yeah.
He when we were talking about this cigar, he gave me the cigar, and I asked him about the blend, and he read off the blend, and I said that blend sounds identical to the Short Run 2012, and he said to me, and he said, all I'll tell you is, and the Federal cigar, the Medallion de Oro, is based off the Short Run 2012. He told me to smoke that back to back with the Medallion de Oro, and then let him know. So I got to do that. So I think you're definitely on to something. Just you saying that, you're.
I don't want to. I don't know with any certainty. If I had to go by my palate, I would say that if it's not the same blend, it's extremely close.
They amped up the Short Run a bit more with a bit more Carrillo.
Yeah, I would say it's in that same wheelhouse. It's very close. If it's not the same blend, they've only tweaked a couple of leaves. That's just my opinion. I don't have any inside information, but I've smoked a ton of I've smoked at least a box of the Medallion de Oros. I've smoked a ton of the New Wave Short Runs. And this New Wave Connecticut it's awesome. I like it.
Yep.
I like it.
So on a segue to that, I smoked the Medallion de Platino, and let me kind of just take you through how we get to the Medallion de Platino. This is a new Federal cigar exclusive. So I mentioned that the Short Run 2012 was a cigar that had a Connecticut shade wrapper, Connecticut broadleaf binder, and Nicaraguan Dominican filler. They took that cigar and created a cigar called Medallion de Oro, which kind of looks like the Bolivar with the gold foil in a Lonsdale format.
Yep.
They put a little more Ligero on it, and that was Medallion de Oro. Now what they did is they created another cigar called Medallion de Platino, which is in the Stogie feed, and they put a silver foil on it. The difference is they swapped out that Connecticut shade wrapper on the Oro and put in a Ecuadorian Corojo wrapper. So the thing is this: if you're looking at, and we were talking a little about this with Logan on the 3rd anniversary show, EPC's kind of gotten, I think they must have gotten their hands on this Ecuadorian Corojo wrapper. They're using it on a lot of different blends right now. They just came out with a new inch with it. The new cabinet that went to Europe is coming to the U.S. That's going to use this same wrapper. And now they used it on this cigar. I wasn't sure what to make of it, because the Medallion de Oro was such a great cigar. But this was really good too. It's going to create a much stronger cigar than the Medallion de Oro. So it's going to be closer to full with this one. It's going to have a little bit of a dried fruit sweetness to it, some natural tobacco, a little bit of a grainy profile to it, and then some pepper. And then the last third, it kind of had this little bit of a smoky mesquite flavor, which I thought was kind of interesting. Not quite a fire cure, but it was really good. I've smoked now all those Ecuadorian Corojos I just mentioned. I think that this one's the best. I think it's a really good cigar. I have it as a box worthy cigar. The best part about this cigar is the price point is $8.79 for a cigar, and it's $87 for a box of 10. And for a very limited cigar, I don't think you can go wrong with this cigar. And if you like the Medallion de Oro, this kind of is going to give you a stronger complimentary offering with it. So I definitely would recommend checking Federal out for that cigar. And I got to thank Derek, who donated this cigar.
Thank you to Derek.
I think you got one.
He gave me no, you gave me one of those.
That was from Derek,
and that came from Derek. Thank you, Derek. And I got the cabinetta? No, not cabinetta.
The cabinet.
The cabinet.
That's
cabinet is Hoya, we just interviewed.
Yeah.
But they have a cabinet, which I haven't smoked yet.
And that's got that wrapper. It's
got that wrapper. And then the Connecticut that we just talked about.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
I did some Elohio smoking, too. I went back and I smoked the Elohio LSV limited edition Robusto. That was very good. That's got some good balance to it. Of course, mine I had to smoke through a void or two on it, which kind of detracted from my experience because I have Paul syndrome. And
Wow, I was just saying we've got
that's what
3 or 4
happens.
cigars in and
Yeah,
not one
that's
problem.
that's a good. This is a good cigar. I really like it. I'm still kind of. It's hard for me to kind of pick a favorite and commit to a box purchase when I can walk right next door and I can buy singles. So I keep just going next door and buying singles. So I never commit to a box, and I
That's
like them
part-
all so much that I
Part of
can't.
my problem, yeah.
Yeah, I can't commit to a box. So I want to give ratings like box worthy for the cigar, which I would. And if this was the only one that they had over there, I would have already bought a box. But the fact that I can kind of mix things up, I have cigar ADD, and probably regular ADD too. But with these, I have really bad cigar ADD, and I keep going through and smoking different ones, and I'm never disappointed. So
No, me neither. It's like me.
back to you, Will.
Took a look at one of the Miami 25th anniversary cigars. So Miami Cigar, it's their 25th. Miami Cigar and Company, it's their 25th anniversary, and what they did is they created a couple of cigars, one from each of the 2 factories they work with. One's the 25th anniversary Dominican, which comes out of La Aurora, and one is the 25th anniversary Nicaragua, which comes out of my father's cigar factory. They're packaged in individual coffins, and they're put in a nice commemorative humidor. And the idea is right now they've released both these cigars, and they're asking folks to provide. You can go to a site and provide a place to decide which blend you like better. Stogie Center and I were at the Miami Cigar party in Las Vegas. We happened to get some of these cigars, and we both smoked. We smoked them both. And we both were in agreement that the Dominican was the better of the blends. I wanted to give the Nicaragua another shot to see how it smoked. And I don't want to say it's a bad cigar, but it wasn't in the same wheelhouse I felt as the Dominican. It kind of was a cigar that took a little while to get going. It was kind of it had first it gave you some pepper and some wood and earth notes, and it wasn't lighting the world on fire, so to speak. The second half got better with this cigar. It was a little better than I remembered in Vegas, maybe because my palate's better. It had a little bit of more of a chocolate sweetness to it. Overall, it's a very medium strength, medium bodied. It has an earthy profile of being a Nicaraguan cigar, but again, did have me doing handstands. When I kind of looked at the cigar in Cigar Coupe, it scored okay. It was like an 89. But I think when you look at our Stogie Geeks assessment scale, which is it's a little different than it's not just about a merit rating. We look at would I go buy a box of these? I just won't. I mean, I'd probably go no higher than a try one on this because of the price point and because there's probably other offerings for $25 that I would go to before this cigar. So I kind of have it as a try one. I kind of would definitely recommend the Dominican at this point here. Have you smoked these?
Yeah, I wasn't impressed with either of them, to be honest with you.
Yeah, with Stogie Santa like the Dominican. We both like the Dominican, I know.
It's one of those ones to go back to is kind of expensive.
It is expensive, and I know it comes in a nice package and everything, but again, kind of was looking for more, I think.
Yeah. I'll go back to another Elohio. I smoked the Habano Churchill. Liked this one a lot better than the first one that I smoked. This was a great medium-bodied smoke, easy smoking, great flavors, perfect, all the way up to lunchtime kind of cigar. Again, this is another one where I go back. I smoked the Lancero. I smoked the Churchill. Both great sizes. I think the sizes that are really different is that Corona size tends to be very different, which I know they blended to be much stronger. When these Churchills first came in, that box seemed to be kind of fresh, so I've given it a lot of time to kind of rest, and this one was much, much better. So I would probably call this one a box split, in my opinion.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah. I think maybe with some more age, they might go to box worthy, but I think the Churchill's a box split in the Elohio Habano.
I'd agree with you on that.
Oh, and I smoked another Christoph GC Signature.
You got me on that cigar. You got me.
Dude, what a great flavor on that
It
cigar.
really
That
is.
wrapper is, I don't know, I associate that flavor with the wrapper, and I think it just puts off such great flavor, such great smoke.
Dry
Really
box
like it.
that cigar, though. Do not over-humidify
Yeah,
that
this
cigar.
one I had to, I kind of struggled because it wasn't dry boxed.
It needs a little dry box, but when it dry boxes, does it smoke good. And you got me kind of you and Glenn, basically, after that show, kind of got me steered back to that cigar. It might be one of his best regular offerings.
And what is the wrapper? That's a Matafina?
It's a Brazilian wrapper.
Brazilian wrapper.
I'd have to look it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a Brazilian wrapper on that, though.
Yeah.
It's very dark and oily, so you're right.
Yeah.
You want to dry box that a little bit.
Yeah.
Back to you, Will.
All right. So I had a real treat right before I came up to Rhode Island. My friend Craig Cass, who owns the Tinderbox of Charlotte, I was in his shop, and we may have a little surprise coming out of that shop there. I don't want to tip my whole hat yet. We may be doing something out there, but he actually it was a funny story. He had just gotten back from a Dabitoff Advisory Council, where I guess they go and talk to. They bring in some key retailers, and they really look for feedback from the retail perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So he was gifted some pretty special Davidoff cigars, and he says, "I got a cigar I know you haven't tried," and he handed me a cigar, and I know I hadn't tried it. It just started making its way to the stores. Is the Davidoff Year of the Sheep, which is the third installment in Davidoff's Chinese Zodiac series, which I have been a huge fan of. I know you haven't been quite on board with that as much as I have.
What was the last one?
The horse and the snake.
Yeah, the horse was good for a 60 ring.
It was very good for 60, for what it was.
The snake, I like it. I just don't rate it as highly as you and Stogies saying it do. And I have two more.
I
want to go back and smoke them.
If you don't want them, I will take them off your hands.
Well, I'm going to go smoke one.
Okay.
I tell you what,
Okay.
if my rating says the same, I'll give you the other one.
More near. We can work out some compensation.
No, don't worry about that.
I was a little concerned about the Year of the Sheep when I saw this.
It's a torpedo.
It's a torpedo. All right. It's a very steep.
It's a real torpedo.
Yeah.
I was looking at I actually read your write up already.
It's whenever I see a sharp taper on a torpedo, I worry about it.
Yep.
But it's Davidoff, so and it was using an Ecuadorian Habano wrapper, which nothing wrong with an Ecuadorian Habano wrapper, but Davidoff's put some pretty cool wrappers on. So I was like, well, all right. But what it is, they're using the Yamasa binder, which is a region that they're growing tobacco in, and they've used that Yamasa on a lot of their limiteds, and they're using it here as the binder. And then they're using a potpourri of
the fillers
Dominican
were unbelievable.
fillers. Yeah, it's all Dominican filler. I'll say this: really, really good cigar. It's not the snake, but it's very good. Here's what I think is real. Now, I think you might like this one the best, Paul, because it smokes the most like a Davidoff of any of the Davidoff's Zodiac ones I've had. So this has got more of a Davidoff feel.
What do you mean by that Davidoff feel? I meant to ask you that because you were talking about that in the last show, Will.
Black pepper, grassy notes, little bit of sweetness, kind of. So that's kind of where I pull with that. But Henke Kellner's black pepper is different than Pepin's black pepper is the best way to put it. There's an intangible quality of it. I mean, what would you say is a trademark of smoking most Davidoffs?
I'd say they typically start out with an herbal profile.
Right, and that's why the grassy herbal profiles.
Yeah.
I'm using the word grass, but yeah.
I separate grass and herbal. Grass, I almost have a kind of a negative connotation. I think that grass is usually what I feel is too strong of an herbal kind of flavor. that goes more into like that smell of freshly cut grass,
Right.
and almost like in the hay family, but very pungent is where I categorize.
That's a fair point.
Grass.
Yeah.
When I say herbal, it's a few notches down from that. So herbal is in that same family, but to me not as strong, which makes it a lot more pleasant on my palate.
I pick up a lot of that in the retro hail
Yes.
Davidoff too.
Absolutely. Yeah. But then, I think some of the other characteristics are it's very the herbal up front, but then a very smooth smoke, and it exhibits a lot of other different flavors after that. There's a certain complexity I find after that herbal flavor dissipates from a little bit from the Davidoff, which is it's tough because that flavor kind of differs throughout their lines. But it's interesting how consistently I get that herbal flavor right when I light it up, and then it's something completely different after that.
Yeah. And I think, like I said, this year the sheep's going to be the most like that. So if you really like classic Davidoff, I smoked that Royal Salomonis, which was a great cigar. This is going to be a little more amped up, and it's going to have a little more in the way of sweetness.
Yeah.
But it was a great cigar. And I had it as box worthy. It's a $35 cigar. If this ages really well, it's fine to smoke now, it's perfectly ready, but I think there's some aging potential. I can see it going higher. It actually had me. I'm gonna even go on another limb on the show. I think this is one of the best annual limited series to ever come out. It's that good. I mean, the Year of the Horse, if what Henke did with a 60 ring gauge cigar, look, you may not like the 60 ring gauge cigar, but you got to respect what he did making a 60 ring cigar the way he did. You just might not enjoy that size cigar, but for what it was, it delivered it. So, like I said, this bar is becoming very high with this cigar right now in my book. I would say, with the holidays, if you like Davidoff, put one on your wish list there or something. I still think the art edition was better, though. That you and I both.
I like the art edition a lot. That's a really amped up offering.
Yeah,
from
I would say
Davidoff.
the art edition. I'll be honest, the art edition's in the running for a top 5 cigar of mine this year. And that's also a $35 cigar. So if the Year of the Sheep and the art edition were on the table, I might still pull the art edition first. But not a knock on the cigar. It's really good.
Cool. What else you been smoking, Will?
I'm out.
You're out already?
Yeah, well, I had a few days.
I don't really have much. Yeah, I haven't been smoking as much this week for whatever reason.
I was traveling this week.
And I actually did a bunch of mine. I was looking through my notes. I did a bunch of mine on our anniversary show, probably more than you did.
Yeah.
So, cool. Why don't we take a short break, come back, and we'll update people on contests.
Yep.
So we're going to run the AJ Fernandez lab. We're going to run the AJ Fernandez ad now. So we need to cue that up.
And then what we'll do is
Are we running that now? Is that what we're doing?
No, we'll run that, and then we'll talk contest, and then we should talk Todd's event.
Okay. I think we're still live, though.
Okay.
Cigar connoisseurs are already raving about this exquisite cigar, which pays homage to Christopher Columbus's discovery of tobacco during his expedition of the New World. This medium to full body cigar shows off the kind of exquisite construction that is expected by master blender AJ Fernandez. This gorgeous box press cigar features a delicious dark chocolate Nicaraguan wrapper that houses a blend of Ometepe, Condega, and Estali filler that is bound with a jalapa binder. Once lit, the perfectly balanced and refined New World gives off a beautiful billow of smoke and hits you immediately with some spice and citrus flavors. As you begin to lose yourself in the rich aromas of New World, the flavors become more complex and begin to express hints of hazelnut and coffee. New World is a first-time collaboration between AJ Fernandez and his father Ismael Fernandez, which really makes this cigar stand out in the AJ Fernandez line. To commemorate this union of father and son, AJ Fernandez is offering you this masterpiece at around an MSRP of $6, unheard of for a cigar of this caliber. AJ Fernandez invites you to embark on the journey and smoke what he guarantees to be one of the most talked about cigars of the year, the AJ Fernandez New World. So, Will, why don't we catch everyone up on the contest, and we're going to actually have a contest to win a 5-pack of the Hoya Red.
Yeah, we'll do one 5-pack this week, and we may have another we'll do it for the live audience this week. And then maybe next week we'll offer something for the non-live audience. But let's kind of I'll put that contest right out there right now. For the live audience, tell me the year that Dr. Cuenca, who is the father of Juan Martinez, Dr. Cuenca, what year he bought Hoya de Nicaragua. Nice,
good question.
Yep. So, but we've had look, I had a ball last week on the anniversary show. So we had a couple of 5-packs of AJ Fernandez cigar winners. There was the winners are Brian Street and Jason Fletcher. So as far as what the contests were, one was the answer of who is AJ Fernandez's father. It's Ishmael, which I think we just read before, and the other was what is the wrapper on the San Latano Bull, which is the Ecuadorian Sumatra. So Brian and Jason, I have those 5-packs, so I will be sending those out to you. We also have a winner from the Cess Humidor 10-pack, which there was an enormous response from at the show. The winner is George Maitland. So he's already been notified.
Congratulations, George.
Congratulations, George. You got a hell of a prize pack there. We still have an open contest for the box of San Cristobal Clásicos. I'm going to tell you, you got to listen to the show to win that box. You got to listen to the show to find out how to win that one. But I will say this: you get double entry if you send in proof that you have joined the CRA or renewed. So that one's going to be open for a little while, but you got to listen to the 3rd anniversary show for box. I'm not going to give that one away. So
sweet.
But yeah, so it's now as far as we got
next week. We're on Tuesday.
We're on Tuesday. Tierra Volcan cigars. We'll have Marcus. There's a cigar that's being distributed by Romacraft. They actually just opened a brand new facility. So I think we'll be smoking Tierra Volcan. They should be coming. And they have a pretty interesting story in that they don't make their cigars in Esteli. They make them in Granada, which is a little different. So
really?
Yeah, which is Granada's south of Managua. Actually, it's in the south part of this.
Interesting.
Yeah, so.
Interesting.
Yep.
Very cool.
Now,
I learned a lot about Nicaragua listening to Juan on this show.
Yeah, there's just such a history with that company, and it's not just rhetoric. It is tied. If you go to the HoyaCigars.com, they have even more of the history out there. But just hearing it from Juan, and he's very well versed in that. It's not a marketing spiel that you hear from that at all. This is a guy that knows this, and he's taking the company. He's combining the traditions of that company with today's contemporary younger smoker. So he's bringing those two worlds together. I think he's doing a good job with it.
Cool. Very cool.
Yep. So we have another big event coming up.
Oh, the blending seminar.
Yes.
Don't forget, StogieGeeks.com/blending. Make sure you sign up for that bad boy. It's going to be awesome. We've talked about that. We want to cover the details really quick. Basically, it's $50. You sign up online, you get a blending kit, 4 Peritos, 2 of the fully rolled cigars, all in the La Aurora Preferidos blend, and you get the option to purchase a 10-count box of Corona-sized Preferidos, which aren't available commercially. So make sure you sign up for that. You can participate online. So if you listen to the Stogie Geeks online and you're in some part of the world, you can participate. You can watch Manuel, one of the master blenders from La Aurora. You can watch him live, participate in the seminar. We will ship you the cigars. Participate online. Make sure you do that. StogieGeeks.com/blending.
Yeah, I mean, and you'll get all the benefits, being in the studio here, we're very fortunate. I mean, we'll have some of the best equipment there, so you'll really get a good first-hand look at that seminar there. So,
Absolutely.
You'll benefit from that as well. So it'll be the next best thing to being there, which is probably the next best thing to being in the factory.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Well, thanks everyone for listening to this edition of the Stogie Geek Show. See, I told you I can't talk tonight.
Better than ashing on your mic.
Yeah. Will, thank you very much for being in studio.
No,
It was a lot of fun. So thanks everyone. We'll see you on Tuesday.